Hey, what's going on? Welcome to the Doug.Show. And in this episode, I'm talking to Marty McLeod again. So, Marty has been on the show a bunch. He is a successful niche site entrepreneur, and he does that on the side. He's making about 3K per month. In this discussion, we talk about low competition keywords that are informational in nature. So these are not product focused. They're not like specific money makers or anything like that. But these informational posts are very good to have. So we go in depth and figure out how to find them, why they're useful, and all that kind of stuff. So if you're brand new to the channel, check out some of the other videos. And if you like what you see, please do subscribe. And if you like Marty, I like Marty, so you should like him too. Check out some of the other interviews I've done with him, especially his success story interviews. Let's get to the discussion now. Hey, what's going on? It's Doug Cunnington here, and I am joined again by my friend Marty McLeod. How are you today?
Good.
This interview, we are going to talk about low competition informational posts. And Marty, you've had pretty good success with this on your site, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
And currently you're making about 3,000 per month, right? So it's no fluke. You've been doing this for a little while.
Yep.
So can you just like introduce us to the concept of like low competition informational posts for people that don't know what we're talking about?
Sure. So that's one of you're taking advantage of a keyword opportunity that a lot of sites out there ignore because they tend to focus almost always on buyer keyword posts, and they're not really interested in providing anything that's helpful to the reader that people, by and large, are searching for answers to. And this is exactly what we do. We take advantage of that. And in some cases, there's very little to even zero competition out there. And it makes it very easy to rank in the top 10.
Okay. And when you first started your site, did you publish like a lot of these? Like, was that on your radar or it just happened organically?
It happened organically. When I got better at the keyword process, I knew that it was important to have some information to post, but I got better at evaluating keywords that I thought I could rank for. And also I looked outside of just 250 per month and below search volume. And in a few cases, I found some that were higher than that. And I gave them a shot. And I even remember debating about, should I do this or not? Turned out it paid off in spades.
Awesome. And do you have I didn't ask you this ahead of time, but do you have a handle, like the percentage of traffic that you get that goes to your informational type post versus your affiliate review kind of post?
Yeah, gosh, I bet let's see, man, it's probably at least 25%.
Okay.
Yeah. Or it could be higher now. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So about 25% they're going to the informational post.
Yep.
Very cool. And I guess, do you like sort of like make any money from these posts? Like, do you put affiliate links in there?
I do put them in there where it makes sense, and I try to provide it in a way that it comes across as natural. It so happens from data I've seen, they don't seem to convert really well. I've seen somewhere around 1% when I was doing other stuff that happened to show me that data. So I wouldn't focus on them being a good way to get buys, clicks and buys. There is a little bit. I feel like every little bit counts, so why not take advantage of it?
Sure.
But on the whole, I don't do it for that reason.
Okay, well, that leads me to the next question. Why would you do this? Like, we're trying to make money here, so why are you wasting your time?
I noticed that some people do move from that post to others, buyer posts, and there are several good reasons why. It gives an impression of authority. It helps the overall site traffic. And I suspect that it helps my site on the whole in Google's eyes, but I can't prove that at this point. But it definitely, from the way that people respond with messages and comments, they're really appreciative, and I think that they also sometimes they share it, and your site will get the benefit of that too. If it's a really good post, it gets shared, and you get links back to it too.
Okay.
There's a number of reasons why you would do that. Yeah.
Cool. And that's my observation too. I mean, if you can get any traffic on your site, that's great.
Yeah.
I mean, the other advantage, which I'm sure we'll get to in a second here, and go a little bit deeper, is like you can link from those posts to other posts. Like you said, people will navigate around your site. Not many, but some will. However, you can get like a nice like on-site SEO advantage by placing those interlinks through your site. So do you do that on your informational posts?
Yeah, definitely. I sure do.
Okay.
Yep.
And do you have a handle on like how many like links you put on an informational post, like linking out?
I link about 2 to 3 times to authoritative sources.
Okay.
And then I have 1 to 2, usually I have about 1 to 2 at the bottom to somewhat related posts on my own site, you know.
Okay. So only one or two. That's
Yeah,
about it.
you 1 to 2, well, there maybe 3 to 4 in a few cases where it makes sense, yeah,
Okay.
where it's relevant. Yeah.
Gotcha. So now that hopefully people are at least a little bit convinced on the value of like having like visitors on your site that maybe aren't going to buy anything, which I think we can agree. It's not a bad thing to have visitors on your site. How do you find these keywords?
I went through the usual KGR, keyword golden ratio, keyword research process. And then I instead of filtering out at above 250 per month and below, I kept the remainder of them, and I just go through and look at them manually. And if there's some in there that looks like that it might be a good idea to go after, I'll go and check them manually in Google and see what I'm up against. Check I do the usual all entitled data and what have you to know what I'm dealing with. And what I find is a lot of times if there is anything out there, it may be teeny tiny, just a couple paragraphs, if even that much, or it could be a junk keyword site, or they're not really actually creating a real post answer. And if I see that, then I know I probably stand a very good shot of ranking very well for it.
Gotcha. And do you have any like examples, not that you would mention them here, but like have you been able to like outrank like much bigger sites with way more authority just because you were providing like better information for the searcher?
It has happened a few cases, yeah. I'm not sure why sometimes sites that are only service providers and not actually an affiliate site outrank me, but I'm right up there with them, and sometimes I've been above them all. I'm number one many times. Quite a few times I'm number one actually. So yeah, definitely.
Interesting.
But yeah, I should add that I didn't just put just any old thing out there. It's because I had a high quality post that's definitely contributes heavily to that.
Okay. And you write all the content yourself currently, right?
Currently I do.
Okay. And just to, I guess, like provide evidence that it's high quality, right? So you're doing it yourself. You're not even hiring someone else. You've done like start to finish the keyword research. You know what the competition is supplying. You have an understanding of the searcher and what they're looking for.
Yeah.
So you're really able to give like some of the best results for that query, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have tips for people that, maybe they're trying to approach it themselves as far as writing it and understanding like how long it should be, like what kind of content to actually put in there? Like they found a term that they think is good, but where do they take it from there?
Yeah, so this actually relates to the topic of optimizing with using secondary keywords as well as just general good content practices. So as far as length goes, let's say you might expect it to be 1,500 to 2,000 words, depending on the sections you need. What I do is I take the focus keyword, which a lot of times can be answered in just 2-3 paragraphs even, which seems too short. But what I do is I go through my keyword list of relevant keywords that sometimes are questions, sometimes are just other little bits and pieces that they're relevant and will add value to the post. I'll put those in there too, and I'll add those secondary keywords, and that will have its own section, another H2 section. After I have a handful of those, by the time it's all said and done, I've answered the original question clearly. That's very important. And then I have additional relevant questions or ideas that I also answer clearly as well. So I have a whole post, information post that it's all delivering value and providing information to the reader. And you should also make sure you answer the question clearly. Don't make it super hard to find an answer. And it seems that people, even if you, at this point now, sometimes I answer the original keyword. If it's a question, I answer it at the top, even with a little colored text box. It seems that people still stay on the page and keep going down, reading. And I use good images where I need to. If I need to make a diagram, I do a good job of that to help make it as clear as possible. And I use a table of contents as well. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. And we will have another episode, by the way, everyone, on secondary keywords and using them and all that sort of thing. So we glossed over a little bit here. That's intentional because we want you to listen to the other episode. Yeah. So keep an eye out for it. Now, I think you brought up a great point around just answering the damn question.
Yeah.
You know? Because some people, I've definitely landed on sites where, you know, I'll make up an example, like what's the elevation of like Denali, right? It's something like 20,000 feet. But like if you hit a result and they're like just going on and they wrote 4,000 words and you can't find the answer. Yeah. It's very frustrating. You just need the answer, you know? So I think you're doing exactly the right thing. Like what I would want to see, an answer, like the most concise answer you can give, probably in 1 to 2 sentences. And then after that, embellish it all you want. You can talk about whatever you want, all the surrounding area around Denali, which is all very interesting if someone's looking that up. But you want to like give them the answer without forcing them to like search everywhere, because they're going to bounce. They'll bounce if you don't answer the question clearly. So, plus you got voice search out there, and like a voice search result can't really work if it's so many words, you know, if it's too long. So great point around that. Okay, so let's say you have a handful of keywords, you figured out how to write it. Do you just like publish it and get it out there, or do you have some sort of method to publish in like clusters of content that match up with maybe some of your product affiliate reviews or something?
Once I've got it all finished, did my spell checking and what have you, proofreading. I usually think about what my relevant. I don't do clusters currently or anything, but I usually do what, if I'm using that term correctly. I do think about what are the relevant posts that people might be interested in that I can link to from within this post, and I'll put that in there. Sometimes it's in the middle of the content, like if we're talking about something and there's a product that's related to that, I'll say yada yada yada, like in this something this product XXX I reviewed here. And that's a good opportunity for a link. And at the bottom typically is, if you're also interested in solving this problem, check out my great post about the best 5 XXs for Ys. And you might, what if that's not what you need? Then check out this post for blah blah blah, and so forth.
Okay, cool. And I think the quote clusters of content, people use different terms. Like I think a physical silo is not so effective anymore, but having like a cluster of content or a virtual silo. I heard Kyle Roof mention that a couple weeks ago. But just that interlinking in an intentional way seems to be really helpful. So yeah, I guess there's no question there, just to pepper on top of that. So is there anything else that you think would be helpful around these informational posts? Maybe if someone's like not sure if they should even spend time on it.
You know what? Originally, some of my top posts, including one of them that sounds like is one of the dumbest ideas you could write about. Most people will ignore it. Don't underestimate those, because one of those for me it's as of now it's nearly 10,000 visitors per month, that one post. And it's just about what settings should I set my XX to product.
That's funny. That's funny.
Or what is this product, this item, what is this? Stuff like that. It seems so dumb. It seems like you can't write a good post about it. But if you follow the other ideas I said about, we're going to talk about later about secondary keywords, adding more relevant, useful sections of content, you can do it. I just be open-minded. Take the keyword and see if there are some other related ones that you can use to go along with it. And if you can find, say, a handful, maybe 5 or 6 of those, and you do a good job of trying to honestly put down good content in your post, you'd be surprised what you can do. So I wouldn't be too quick to say, if it's not fancy, then you shouldn't do it. No, it's the really trivial stuff that a lot of people aren't looking for answers to. That was a really good learning lesson for me. It really was.
And I can attest to that as well. Even on like Niche Site Project, I put a whole lot, probably like 20 to 30 like frequently asked questions, which again, like you mentioned, it seems to, easy, right? It seems like people should just be able to go and look this up. There's already information out there, but inevitably when I published all those, like the number of keywords that I ranked for, like doubled. Like it was insane. And I was like, oh, the search volume on those, we're getting into another topic here, but like the search volume on those was literally zero. Like I wrote them because I know people were like wondering about it, but like no one's searching for it because it's so obscure. I mean, internet marketing and Amazon affiliate sites, like it's such a small little piece of like the world. Like most people don't know what we're doing or what we're talking about. So no one's really searching for this stuff. But yeah, I get a lot of traffic to very basic stuff, purely informational, and I can't make any money directly from it. But like you said, Google probably likes your site. People are understanding that you have like authoritative and helpful information. So very, very good point there. All right, cool. So we'll do a quick highlight. So highlight reel. So when you are doing keyword research, keep an eye out for these informational posts that are potentially very low competition. You can use the keyword golden ratio sort of as a guide.
Yeah.
And that's generally how you were looking for them, right?
Yeah. Once it was over 250 search volume per month, I just went ahead and looked at the all-in title values, and then I manually looked to see where things stood. Okay. For example, what happened was a lot of cases it was say 10 all-in title value or 0 to 10. That's extremely low, and that's I would say that's optimal. And I go and look and see what's already out there. If I search for that term, and if it's basically coming up with very little, then that's usually a green light.
Okay.
Yeah.
And secondary question on that. So if you have, let's say you have a list of, 200 keywords that generally fit the criteria, and you have a range of like 0 search volume to, let's just say 500, give us a little more leeway here. How do you prioritize that? Do you go for the higher search volume terms or you go for the lower ones?
It is nice to go for the higher ones. I know that doesn't happen as often. I tend to look at those, and you can, once you get a little bit of experience under doing it, you can tell if it's worth bothering, even with some of those or not. But after that, I try to start going downward, because even if it's if it's less than, some of them might be 80 or 100. I'm still pretty happy with that most of the time, because again, as you were saying earlier, in some of the things you've written on your articles, you mentioned how you're going to build up traffic, not solely just for that, but for the other things. It'll tend to build up. You get more visitors than you anticipate originally.
Yes.
I try not to start off at the bottom at this point. Yeah.
Gotcha.
If it's something that is really unique, I probably will, but I'm going to add secondary keywords that are related to helping drive more traffic because of those.
Right. Cool. And then a couple other things you mentioned. So write good content, of course. Try to answer the question quickly.
Yeah.
Use images and diagrams and stuff to break up the text, maybe even infographics.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I almost forgot about that. Okay. I do those in Canva.
Okay, so you do infographics in Canva, which is a free tool, or do you pay for any of the...
Still using the free version, yeah.
Okay. Canva's great if people haven't used it. It's very easy to use. I use the free version too. I've paid for a couple things here and there, but you could use the free version and do just about everything you need to. So I do my YouTube thumbnails there, which is probably like the heaviest lifting as far as graphics go that I get into. So, and like I mentioned, we will be doing a whole episode on secondary keywords, but that's important too. And you mentioned it, like put in those secondary keywords, subheadings, all that stuff, right?
Exactly. And I don't worry about the search volume in that case or any of that.
All right. Well, I think we're coming towards the end here. If people are interested, there's actually a blog post that Marty wrote over at Niche Site Project. We'll put a link in the description and all that stuff. So, Marty, any final sort of thoughts on these informational, very low competition posts?
Yeah, just don't filter out your keyword research limits by 250 and below. Allow yourself a higher volume within reason, and just look long and hard to see if there's something there. Stay open-minded, and think in terms of opportunity. If you do that, I think you're gonna have success.
Cool. Very good. And I think I'll just highlight one thing you mentioned before and related to what you just mentioned. Like, you saw a keyword and you thought, hey, I'm not sure, but why don't we try it? And it's there's no harm to try. I mean, you're writing your own content. I mean, so it took you some time, but then you're getting like 10,000 visitors. Did you say a month?
Yeah, almost 10 at this point for just that one post and one info post. That's crazy. Over time, it's increased more and more and more and more.
Awesome. So cool. Well, thanks, Marty. Really appreciate it. And we'll catch you on the next episode.
Okay.
All right. Thanks to Marty for taking the time to chat with me about this. And we'll put a link in the description so you could check out the blog post if you want to get a little bit more like details and stuff like that. That is the place to go. So we'll put a link in the description, and we'll catch you on the next show.